Your San Jose Sharks come up short to the Winnipeg Jets for their 10th loss in a row. We'll break this one down. We'll break down Matt Benning surgery and who's going to the All-Star Game in Toronto right now on Teal Town After Dark. And we say hello and good evening to you. It is January 4th, 2024. The Sharks lose 2-1 to the Winnipeg Jets. And we welcome you to this edition of Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks postgame. We do this after every game. So if you want to be part of the show, here's how you do it. Chat with us and fellow hockey fans all over the world and in Sharks territory on the YouTube page or the app. And of course, follow us on all our social media platforms that we cover the game with. And of course, find everything at tealtownusa.com. And if you want to support the pod, feel free to do so either in a super chat donation while you're watching or hit us up on Venmo at tealtownusa. And with that, I say hello, Happy New Year. It's been a while. Puckguy here alongside Ian Reed.
Hello. I have my voice back, kind of, sort of, mostly. Right. But yeah, it's been my health has been about as good as the Sharks play over about the same stretch of time. So maybe if the Sharks start winning again, I will finally get healthy again.
To quote Randy Hahn, that's like icing on the power play, which is never good. So get better, my friend.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's been a weird stretch. Just it's like one thing after another. It's like completely different things that happen. But yeah, I don't know. I'm here. I'm back. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, and ready to talk about the 10th loss in a row. Oh boy, yeah. Ramon Garcia, and I thought the schedule was supposed to get easier for them.
It does after they play. I think it's after this home and home with the Leafs. I think they have one of the easier schedules left in the league at that point. I don't know. I think a lot of people, including myself, to be completely honest, I think a lot of people overlook this Jets team. Because even the last time I played them, I kind of said this team's a bunch of frauds. But this is a pretty good team defensively, and I think we saw that tonight. And I think Connor Hellebuyck, he is the Jets, and not to jump ahead, but he's obviously going to be going to the All-Star Game for the Jets, and it's well deserved. I think that I read a stat. I think that they've allowed like 3 goals or less in their last like 20 or something. For the Jets, like they've kind of quietly been good, which is surprising, right? Because it looked like when you looked at before like Hellebuyck re-signed and stuff, like it looked like this team was like gonna have to completely tear it down.
Right.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, there were all kinds of talk. Oh gosh, are they gonna have to rebuild? Are they gonna have to retool?
Yeah.
And they got some nice pieces in that Dubois trade.
They did, yeah.
And one of which I think was in the scoring sheet tonight. But yeah, you touched on it. Hellebuck's been awesome. 8-0-2 in his last 10 going into tonight. You know, since they lost to the Sharks, which was the last win the Sharks had, you know, they've been 7-0-2. They haven't lost in regulation since. And, you know, I haven't looked at the standings, you know, recently, because why is there a reason to look at the standings if you're a Sharks fan? But Winnipeg, Dallas, Colorado have all been in on the in the contention for the Central Division lead. I mean, you feel for anybody that's trying to get in there, like maybe Nashville, who's hanging in there, and it's just been a struggle for them. So
yeah, and if you go look by points percentage, like the Jets by points percentage are the best team in the Central Division. So definitely making, you know, like I said, it's a really nice story for them, because a lot of people are like, well, you know, it's Winnipeg. They're not going to sign free agents, and, you know, they're basically just going to have to tear it down to the bolts and rebuild through the draft, because no one's going to go play there. So I mean, it's a nice story, and I'm kind of happy for them, because it's nice when teams can kind of turn it around, even especially in a situation like theirs where it's like, you know, Paul Maurice leaves, and then Rick Bowness comes in, right? And everyone's like, yeah, Rick Bowness kind of like a Rick Bowness is such an interesting coach because he's been around forever. Like this guy, I feel like has coached forever. And yet, has still managed to find a way to stay in the game as long as he had. Like, I think for just an underrated story for longevity in coaching. I think Rick Bowness was like the original coach of the Ottawa Senators. Yep. I think
he was. So I mean,
like, that's some longevity, man. So credit to him for finding a way to not only adapt to today's game, right? Because I think a lot of coaches can't do that. So yeah, I mean, kudos to him.
And for a league that likes to recycle coaches, I mean, he stuck through it all, either as an assistant or as a head coach. Heck, I even remember watching like SportsCenter highlights of the Islanders as he was filling in for Mike Milbury because he was doing GM duties,
right,
for it. But yeah, I mean, kudos to the Jets. They've done a great job, and to do that without Kyle Connor is crazy too. For that,
yeah.
All right, so enough gushing about the Jets.
We've apparently just become a Jets podcast.
Well, I mean, with that first period where they outshot them like 11-6, and that made it look softly, but I think Ian, the Sharks were getting outshot 9-1, like about halfway through the first period, and it's like, oh crap! Thank goodness for Mackenzie Blackwood, because otherwise this team would be it could have been ugly.
Yeah. Mackenzie Blackwood, before he got ill, I think he was fine, but I wasn't super impressed by him. I thought he kind of lost a step. It was nice to see him come in tonight and have a really good game. That's kind of what you're hoping for when Mackenzie Blackwood came back in, because I think, Kaapo Kähkönen has done a really good job this season. And I said this on the last show I was on, I'm always really nervous of a guy who's due a paycheck suddenly is good again.
It's amazing how that works.
Which Kaapo Kähkönen definitely falls into that category. It's like, oh, but now he's due money, so now he's good again. But I think that Blackwood obviously needs to play well, because I think if he doesn't, then Kaapo Kähkönen's going to start getting a lot more starts, I think. So it was good for Blackwood to come in and have this game. I thought he played really well. I mean, he was probably the best Shark on the ice. I don't really fault him for either goal. I think the Sharks aren't in this game if Mackenzie Blackwood wasn't as good as he was in this game.
Right, and you touch on Kaapo, who's been on a roll since I've been gone, and where the trade talk has transferred from, when's Mackenzie Blackwood getting for a first rounder,
that was
to
dumb.
Kaapo Kähkönen now being talked about. But yeah, Blackwood kept the guys in it, and they were getting hemmed in their zone, like it was the early season Sharks, where you saw, what was it? I think it was like maybe Addison in the zone for over 2 minutes, and the Sharks could not get the puck, but they changed that around with like a few minutes to go in the first, and made some chances there. And then the second period came on, and then it's like, okay, they get a power play, and just as the power play ends, you see Barabanov, with a nice one-timer that I think Hellebuck wants to have back to get the Sharks on the board early.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Logan asking, are the Jets still frauds? No, I go back and listen to the start of the podcast. We already gushed about the Jets enough. The shit I say in Discord comes back and bites me in the chat.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. Our Discord supporters will always remind us about our mistakes, and then we have to eat it, and then it's like it's like a Brussels sprout omelet to me with a hint of avocado. It's just like, no, just kind of like the Sharks this season. But I digress. So Barbie gets his third back-to-back games with Barabanov getting goals. So that's nice to see that he's starting to turn it up a bit.
Yeah, I mean, Barbie's a guy who I was really, I had been calling out since he had basically returned from injury. But his last couple of games, he's really come on. Like, I think I tweeted in big capital letters, Barbie's back. Because he looks he looks kind of like the guy that, you know, we were hoping was going to come back and help this team kind of get a little bit of a scoring punch. He's been really good the last couple of games. So I'm glad that maybe it was just, you know, an issue of trying to get back up to game speed or whatever, because having a layoff for any injury time, you know, it's hard to get back to game speed. I think, you know, I'm excited for Logan Couture to re-enter this lineup because I think that's going to help them a little bit more than like people probably give Logan Couture credit for. But again, like he's missed the whole season, missed training camp. Like he's gonna probably take some time to get up to speed. But you know, regardless, I'm still excited that, you know, Logan should be back in the lineup soon. I think it'll help. You know, it'll give the Sharks a little bit more offensive depth. I think it gives them. I think they're not like as bad as they were offensively in the beginning of the season, where it was like you just shut down Hertl and the whole thing shuts down. I think they've had other guys step up, but I think having Logan Couture, you know, playing 1 and 2 center with Hertl, I think that's gonna help the team a lot, and I think it's gonna help the players that Couture is gonna get to play with.
Yeah, and it'll kind of solidify things. You can have a 1-2 center combination in your top 6. It should hopefully open it up the offense a little bit more. Of course, if you're on,
it should, right? Like, because it's gonna give people like Logan Couture, like as much shit as he gets in this fan base, and from me included, man. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I'm Logan Couture's biggest fan, but I just think that we've gone too far the other direction on Couture.
I think there's been a lot of crap put on Couture. I think more so than anything because of the overall team result.
Yeah.
And, you know, the former captain who shall not be named is, you know, had a lot of success where he done the sea. Yeah, and Couture hasn't. And I think combined with his play and the standing,
like if that's your bitch with Couture, though, if your bitch with Couture is that, well, Joe Pavelski left and then Logan Couture took over, and he's like, if you think Logan Couture is the reason that the Sharks are where they are, then you don't know what you're fucking talking about. Like I said, there's a lot of legitimate gripes that people can have with Logan Couture. I have plenty of my own, but this, you know, I think he just got handed the bag at the wrong time.
Right.
You know, it didn't matter who they handed that bag to; it was gonna go wrong.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, that's not on me. That's more others who are shouting their takes.
Oh no, I get it. I understand. But I just think those people are fucking stupid. Like, that's just it, right? Like, they're fucking dumb, and that's fine. There's, you know, they're not alone. There's a lot of dumb fucking fans in this fan base that say some really, really dumb shit. So they're not alone.
Yeah. Jesse L mentioning my eyeball test at the game. Hope you had fun, by the way, despite the loss. Said Duke was really, really bad tonight. Am I off base?
I didn't really notice Declare much at all. And yeah. I didn't notice him in a negative way, but I didn't really notice him in a even like a neutral or positive way either. So, and I think sometimes Declare does have games like that where I think he's a guy that you should notice more than, you know, a few times a game. And if you don't, I think that's a problem.
Yeah, no, precisely. So, getting back to the recap, Barabanov made it 1-0 at 10:26. About 82 seconds later, you know, because
enjoy nothing, Sharks fans.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing. That's all you get. See, this is why I was trying to tell you guys: enjoy those little victories during that East Coast road trip, because it's not going to happen a lot more this season. Just like Barron getting his 8th of the season from Pionk and Dillon to tie it up at 1. It was just like just scribbled like a tip. It was just scribbled right just past Blackwood. Vlasic couldn't get to it in time. One of those painful ones to see. It's like,
was it Vlasic? Was Vlasic playing with Addison tonight? Was that the pair? Because
I believe so.
Because there was a couple of times where I was like, I didn't know what Addison was doing at all. It was like, oh, I have to play defense. What do I do now? Like I think it was on this goal where he kind of like just completely disengaged from the play, kind of, and I don't know where he was going. He kind of was just, he looked like he was just kind of like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an analogy here that would work, you know. Kind of reminded me of like my daughter when she was like little, which she's not anymore. She's going to high school next year. But when she was little,
What? Wait.
I know. And when she'd play soccer, and instead of playing soccer, her and her friends would just kind of walk around the field, just doing whatever, not really playing, and just kind of hanging out. Like, that's kind of what Addison was doing, right? Just disengaged, and was like, just kind of enjoying the scenery and enjoying the break. Like, I don't know. That pair is atrocious, though. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, found like anytime like they were on the ice together, and again, like, credit to this Winnipeg team, obviously, but I thought that if you wanted to see the Sharks get hemmed in your zone, throw Addison and Vlasic over the boards, and that's pretty much what was going to happen.
And we all know that Addison's kind of been like the more the offensive type.
Sure,
playing,
but he's not good enough offensively to be this bad defensively, right? Like, if you're Erik Karlsson, you can get away with being bad defensively because you're good offensively. You actually put up points offensively. Right. Addison's not good enough offensively to be this bad defensively.
Yeah.
Period.
And like Kevin's saying in the chat, he's still young and adjusting, but he really should be better defensively than he is to be playing in the NHL.
Correct.
And
and Kevin like said it way better than I did.
Yeah, but it's frustrating because you want to see him flourish in both ends, which is what I think the organization wants. But he can be potentially good offensively, but he's no Erik Karlsson. I mean, Eric would probably say not even close while eating an apple.
Eating an apple, and yeah.
So tied at 1-1 going to third period, Winnipeg starts, just start peppering shots like it was the first period all over again. And then the Sharks take a penalty. Gabe Vilardi's left practically all alone on the side of the net, where Morrissey finds him, and it's a quick tap in. Defense, head on a swivel. Drew's right on the bench next to you to tell you that. Head on a swivel. You got to keep an eye on that. That ends up being your game-winning goal. I mean, that getting back to that trade with Dubois, that's been a nice pickup for the Jets.
Yeah.
They got, refresh on who else they got, if you remember offhand. It's like Vilardi.
Making me think. And
I know. I'm sorry. It's 1:20 in the morning. I apologize for making you do that. But it's one of those things where it's like fundamentals is what's kind of hurting this team on occasion,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was a power play goal, so I mean, obviously you are outnumbered on the ice. It was a good pass though. I mean, it was a good play. Again, there's not much Blackwood can do on it, because I think it's kind of a missed assignment, but I'll give them some slack because you are getting shelled and there's kind of guys everywhere and you're shorthanded. I don't know, like, I'm not super. Maybe I'm just really like numbed at this point where it's like I don't really care when they lose. Like, they're not losing this game, last game. Like, I don't think they were bad games. Like, I enjoyed watching them. You know what I mean? So I think if I can enjoy watching a game and they still leave with no points, that's kind of a win for me. That's a win for me this season. So maybe that's why I'm like, I wish I could come on here and be really mad about this game and mad that they've lost 10 in a row, but I don't know. I'm all out of anger for this team. I don't think they were good, but I don't think there was very much that you want to be like, what the hell was that? You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't one of those kind of games.
And they played fairly well. And again, you only allowed them to get 2 goals on him against a team that's probably one of the best 5-on-5 teams in the league.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Winnipeg has put up has scored a pile of goals this season, man. Yeah, I mean, this is a good team. This Jets team's a good team. And the Sharks, they kept it close. I mean, Mackenzie Blackwood kept it close, but I mean, again, like, the Sharks had chances to tie it. They just couldn't beat Hellebuck.
Yeah, and it hurt. And Eklund probably missed an opportunity to shoot as opposed to pass. With the empty net. It's like, and
that whole, I mean, that whole man advantage, like that whole pulling the goalie section of the game, like that was just a nightmare. Miscommunication all over the place. I think guys got stuck out there probably too long, and that doesn't
right.
help anything. They couldn't complete like the simplest passes they couldn't complete. Obviously, yeah, you want Eklund to be a little more selfish in that situation and just shoot the puck. But he's a young player. He's gonna make mistakes like that sometimes, unfortunately, right?
Right.
And but I mean, yeah, I'm surprised that the Jets didn't score an empty net goal there because, geez, man, the Sharks were atrocious. Like, if you want to get mad at something, I think you.
Yeah. I mean, kudos to them winning the faceoffs. I think they've definitely gotten them better in that, even without Nico Sturm in the lineup.
Yeah.
You can find the little things in there, gang, but it's tough,
Mhm.
and it's like it can be frustrating. And speaking of which, we're getting comments from the locker room now, and AJ, thank you for that. We'll start off with Mackenzie Blackwood. It was nice to have a better game tonight to get back into it right away. And if you remember, Ian, when he left that game against Vancouver before the break, he was
Mhm.
like, "I don't want to talk about it. I'm glad to way to get away from the rink and be with my family." And like,
Sure.
really, like awkward.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think, I don't think. Again, I don't think he was bad per se, because I think you got to be really careful when you want to call a goalie bad, because we've seen some bad goaltending, and Mackenzie Blackwood hasn't really given us bad goaltending, but it wasn't up to the standard that we were kind of gotten used to with him before the break and before he got sick. So yeah, I mean, it was, I'm happy that he came back and he had a really solid game today, because I think that if I'm the Sharks, I'm gonna try and sell high on Kaapo Kähkönen.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take your advantage of it and get the picks. Are you confident in your goaltenders that you're developing?
No, but
But
but you can, again, I don't know, man. Like, I don't think I wouldn't send it. Like, it's hard because, like, the Barracuda do have kind of a glut of goaltenders, and so do they? I mean, I guess if you're the Sharks, you want to see maybe either Makiniemi or Krona, who I think Krona, I think, has been the best of the three goalies overall this season. But I don't, his what he's done in the NHL so far hasn't been fantastic. It's not exactly like, ooh, this guy should be the backup next year. You know what I mean?
right,
And I don't think it's his fault per se.
no,
I don't think like the team in front of him has played like ass both time he's played, but I think there's also things, if you look at the way that Magnus Corona plays goal, and I think there's some holes there that need to be tightened up before you can bring him up in the NHL. I like, there's definitely things in his game that I think need to be better before he can be even a backup NHL goalie. So I don't know. I mean, the thing that worries me with Kaapo Kähkönen is he's had a really good year when he needs to get paid, right? And it was kind of the same situation when he came over. He was pretty good
mm-hmm.
when they first got him, and they're like, okay, cool, let's give him some money and let's see what happens, right? And then, and it wasn't really good. And
Right,
then he's due a paycheck and he's good. So to me, like, I don't want to. I would be nervous about them being like, okay, well, he was good now, so let's just give him some more money and let's give him some term and see what happens, right? And
right,
it's like, oh, he's the other guy still.
right. And it's a fine line right now because you hit it on the head, and I know Kevin's saying the same thing about taking a gamble on Capo.
Hmm.
The thing is that you have Krona right now, you have Romanov, and you have Maki Niemi right
Yeah.
now. None of them have stood out. None of them have been
No,
completely healthy, for that matter, too.
right. Like Mackenzie, I just want to see him be healthy, and kind of just put some string. And it's hard because, again, when you're talking about the Barracuda, the team in front of the Barracuda is not good defensively. I don't think the Barracuda are a particularly well coached team. I've said that on a lot of occasions. So, but again, like at some point, you probably want to have one of these guys come up and be a backup. But I wouldn't be comfortable. Like if I'm the Sharks, I probably I would trade high on Kakkonen, but I would still be eyeing like another warm body that's more of a known commodity to come in next year, and then go from there.
Does that kind of stifle their plans on maybe trading a goaltender as we get closer to the deadline? Because I mean, to me, and tell me
if you're
I'm
gonna
wrong.
trade a goalie, it's Kakkonen,
Right?
right? Like that's the only guy you're trading. Like Mackenzie Blackwood isn't getting traded. Period. Like any talk about Mackenzie Blackwood this season has been dumb, and it hasn't been and a lot of it hasn't even been, oh, teams are calling the Sharks about about Mackenzie Blackwood. All it's been just talking heads, that get paid for this instead of us just being talking heads on a YouTube channel going, well, if I was so and so team, I would call the Sharks about Mackenzie Blackwood, right? It's never been a rumor. It's always just been talking heads saying, oh, well, this is maybe what I would do if I was in this situation.
Right.
And then, the scribes, oh, Capo Kakkonen trade rumors. And it's like, it wasn't a rumor. It was a fucking, it was just some dude saying, if I was so-and-so team, this is what I might do. It was never so-and-so is called the Sharks. Like that's never happened this year.
Yeah. No, I think everybody was freaking out.
Or at least if it has happened, it hasn't been reported.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there have been rumblings. I'm sure there have been calls. But it remains to be seen as to what will happen on that front down the road.
Yeah. So if you're going to trade someone, it's Capo Kakkonen. Unless could they trade one of their AHL goalies away? Of course they could. Happened before, could happen again. Mm-hmm. So I mean, they could do something there too, where they package one of their AHL goalies and ship them off in a package to do something else, right?
Right.
But if I was the Sharks, I would sell high on Capo Kakkonen, and then I would bring in another warm body to play behind Blackwood, like someone, I don't have a name because I haven't looked at who's a free agent next year.
Sure.
Going into the goaltending, but you know what I mean. You know who I'm talking about. Like you bring in a guy who has played backup NHL minutes that you can rely on somewhat to be a guy that can play behind him, to play behind Blackwood, who is the future until he says he's not. And that's the way it is, right?
Fair point. All right. Continue on with Blackwood. They had us running around and capitalized on the back door. Last 3 games have been 1-goal games. It's about finishing the job. And, it's getting that full 60 in. It's getting that full press going. That's where that whole offensive capability needs to come into play, where
sure.
You're not passing it around like the power play did earlier tonight, where even Drew was saying on the broadcast, the coaches are wanting them to get more pucks on net, and they're passing around because Winnipeg's doing a heck of a job penalty killing.
Yeah, they just, you want like, here's the thing, right? Like, so you want to obviously get shots through, but if you don't get shots through, and that's the one thing Winnipeg is decent at on the, I don't want to say they're like, I don't want to make Winnipeg sound like they're this amazing penalty killing team, because they're not.
No, they're not.
Like all their damage has been 5-on-5, but they're still a good enough team. Whereas if you're not getting quality shots through and you're just shooting into a defenseman and then that's it, and the play's going the other direction, like I thought the Jets did a good enough job of taking away a lot of the Sharks' good shooting opportunities, because I mean you want to see more shots, but you don't want to see shots go into a defenseman's shin and then everyone goes the other way.
Right. So that's the tough part with that. Let's get to Coach Quinn. What he had to say: we have to be more detailed. Our execution isn't what it needs to be right now. We're not fast enough, and we don't recover quick enough. Well, that's not good. I mean, the speediness. There's a guy in in a suite that can maybe teach you about speed, being how fast you can get, but it's watching that turnover passing game, big time. Quinn continue on to saying, we just played the best team in the West, and it was a toe-to-toe game. Our guys competing their asses off, but we'll get out of this. We'll continue. We're going to show up tomorrow, work hard, and we're going to get out of this. It's been a bear of a schedule. We're not playing Los Gatos High. We have to keep playing better. Shout out Los Gatos High. I didn't know you had a hockey team. Good, cool. I used to throw frisbee in front of their campus years ago. So cool for them. And of course, we'd be remiss if we can shout out Jerry F for his super chat donation. Thanks for another great show, guys. Appreciate it, Jerry. And good to see you the other day at the game on a holiday sweater night, my friend. So you lose 2-1. You and like Quinn says, Ian, they did play toe to toe. They just need to get their game a little more, I would say, polished a little bit. Don't be afraid to take those shots, but find the right timing, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just because everyone's saying sign Aaron Dell. Aaron Dell's not a solid NHL backup option, guys. Let's be honest. But so I brought up the list here quick just to throw out some names, right?
All right, fire away.
And again, I'm not that you're not signing any of these guys. You're signing these guys so that some of them can take some of the pressure off of Blackwood. So you don't start them like a crazy man, right? I mean, you can bring a guy like Peter Mrazek. You can bring in a guy. Who else can you bring in? Like Laurent Brossoit. They're just guys like that, right? I mean, obviously, I don't think you bring James Reimer back. Antti Raanta's made of glass. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, those are the kind of guys that I'm thinking, right? You just guys who they're not gonna steal Blackwood's job, but they're gonna be able to come in and play 20, 30 games
and be serviceable to help out.
Yeah.
And it's definitely gone to more of a tandem in the NHL. You got Swayman and Ullmark and such.
I don't want to say having a good backup isn't important. Like, you want to have a decent, you want to put guys in a decent situation, obviously. But I still think you can find a guy who's not going to break the bank and come in and give you some decent minutes.
Yeah. So that would put a bow on this game. Aaron Jacks, Sharks are paying for years and years of going for it. Oh, of course, but that's the risk you take for going for it.
Yeah, and they should have. I mean, again, I hate this desire that we have to relitigate how the Sharks got here. It feels like we do this every other show. It's like, oh, we got to relitigate how we got here. And I don't think I think at the end of the day, it's like they went for it, right? And they went for it for a long time because that's what teams that it's like, oh, they traded draft picks, and yeah, because that's what teams that are trying to win do.
Right.
Like, you show me a team that went for it and didn't. Unfortunately, one team wins and the rest don't. And the Sharks, unfortunately, were in that group of the rest for years and years and years. And, probably in years, is there situations where there's years where they kind of pissed it away? Of course, that's what happened. But ultimately, I don't know, man. They went for it.
But they, this team could have closed the window after they lost to the Ducks in 2009. When they when they won the President's Trophy, but you rebuild it, you retouched it up and everything. Hell, you could have done it after you lost in 5 games to the Blues in 2012. You could have blown it up even more if they
had plenty of opportunities to blow it up.
But they kept it in. They cost them though.
Blow it up. Yeah, I mean, and again, I always say this, and people would be like, "Oh, you didn't win anything, though, Ian." But we were spoiled, man. We had playoffs for so many fucking there were so many years where you can go into the season and it's like, is this the year?
Yeah.
And sorry, man, I lucked that way more than this year where it's like, good. I wonder are we gonna draft first overall? And that's your first fucking thought when the puck drops in October.
Yeah.
What would you rather? I'm sorry, I loved it sucks that they never got the silver shiny thing, for sure. 100%. And I'm not saying that should be acceptable, but at the same time, I enjoyed the going for the silver shining thing a lot more than this.
Oh, I think on a personal standpoint, of course, because you enjoyed the wins. I enjoyed attempting to have a beard. The mustache didn't come through, as AJ would probably tell you. But I mean, it's it's enjoyable to have playoff hockey, to be in contention of it. I guarantee you, a lot of these gripes go away if there's a banner that's the Stanley Cup champions in San Jose. I think that is easily probably the softest takes, of course, but at the same time, you got there.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm done litigating how we got here. I think it's a book that's been well written and well, it's been well covered, especially on this channel.
Yes. AJ Woods is adding on. Last time I looked, Ben Gaudreau is available.
Again,
talk about a guy who shot himself in the foot.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for Ben Gaudreau because, like, obviously he didn't have a good World Junior, and then everything kind of went downhill for him from there. And then again, the Sharks, he wasn't a Greer pick either.
Right.
And we've seen a lot of my of the previous regime's picks moved off the team.
Yeah. Logan Teal with a $2 super chat donation. Thank you very much, Logan. Therapy money for Ian for watching the Sharks and the CUDA.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that because my therapy bills are going to be huge this year.
Oh my
huge.
Gosh. I guess we'll touch really quick on the CUDA.
Mm-hmm.
They won. They put up 6 goals.
Yeah.
I mean, that was nice to see last night.
Yeah. So, they win, they lose, they win. The problem with the Barracuda, right, is it's consistency, man. Like, if this team, like, against 7 teams in the Pacific Division make the playoffs, and as of now, the Barracuda aren't going to be one of them.
Right.
And I don't think they're going to get there, and that's really sad. And again, it's like the frustrating thing with the CUDA is they will do a game like last night where you're like, wow, maybe this is the start of something. But then we've seen this so many times this year that, like, I can't even come on here with a straight face and be like, wow, that's a really good game. Maybe this is going to be the start of something. They can't win. They've won back-to-back games once this year. It's brutal. Like, and again, like, I think that the forward group isn't as good as last year's forward group, but they should be better defensively. And, I don't think the goaltending hasn't been, like, it's been a little over the place too, but it's kind of like the Sharks. Like, if you're looking at the goaltending specifically and just kind of circling that and being like, this is why the Barracuda aren't winning, you're not watching the games.
Right. And like Rob Iman saying in the chat, my anger is more geared toward at the Barracuda this season. It's sucks because I think there's a lot of expectations. And like I said, I think last year everybody was just gushing. So because you had Eklund, Bordelot, Gushing, and all the kids
Robbins all year. Like, Robbins just came back. It's hard, right? Like, I think that the thing that bugs me with this team though is just like you have a significantly different roster and yet all the same problems. So to me, that's coaching.
Yeah. Have you been able to watch the World Juniors? I know it's been at a weird time. Has the country recovered from the devastating upset?
Yeah. You know what? It's fine. I think
I don't mean to trigger you, but sorry.
No. I honestly, I don't care. Like, I think that it was a disappointing, sure, right? But I think that, like, and we deserve, I think Canadians as a whole deserve a lot of the shit we get because, like, it seems like every time, it's fine. We lost a tournament. It's not good. Like, obviously this was something where I'm like, hey, look, I might actually cheer for a winning team. No, not going to do that either. I might cheer for a team that wins something for a couple of weeks. Nope, not happening. Man. But, like, at the end, like, I think that for Canadians, right? Like, I just feel like it's fine. We'll be fine. Like, it always, every time we lose, like, I hate how suddenly it's like, oh my God, is hockey over in Canada? And it's like, no, it's just over for this year, and it'll be fine. We'll come back next year, and Canada will be good again, and there'll be a medal threat next year. Just it'll be fine. Like, yes, it sucks to lose, and being a country like Canada, obviously anything less than gold is losing.
Mhm.
So it sucks. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it doesn't suck, but like, is Canada over? No, Canada will be fine. We still produce some of the best players in the world. It'll be fine. There's, they'll come back next year. It'll be fun.
Yeah, and rest assured, Canada, it's all good.
Yeah, like I'm so tired of like we lose a tournament and it's like, oh God, is Canada over? It's like, really? Like, yeah, I get it, right? Like, it's funny because like when we lost in the Olympics before I think it was before Vancouver, like before Salt Lake, I guess, right? When it was like over in Europe and Japan, the first two NHL Olympics, and Canada did really bad. Like, I think after those, like there was like the government did things to be like, what is going on? Why are we not winning? Like, the government of Canada was like, had like hearings to figure out what the hell was going on with Hockey Canada. And it's like, so when I say like Canadians deserve some of the shit we get for hockey, we do. Because like we had parliamentary hearings over why Canada wasn't doing good in the Olympics, because like when the Olympics were announced for the NHLers going, right, like that was the thing. It was like, well, Canada's getting gold. And then when we didn't, medal at all, everyone was like, oh, what happened?
Right. And speaking of which, Paul Medina in the super chat, see the Sharks lose today and see Beastet, Havlet, or Smith and Polkamp lose tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't have like a real rooting interest there. I thought, I'll give the Team USA a lot of credit. I thought they had a good game tonight. I thought, I'm going to get hell for this, but I have only I continue to be just kind of whelmed by Smith in this tournament. I know he's put up goals and stuff, and I don't think he's been terrible. I don't think he's been bad, but I haven't been super, super, super high on his tournament. And that's not me saying like we should all worry about Will Smith. I don't know. Sometimes, again, like I've said this last when I was on too, like guys are obviously expected to play roles on these teams. Like they're not, like all these guys are like the top players from their club teams, and then they come and they have to play roles. I don't think he's been bad. I think he's just been good. And I think from a fourth overall pick, you kind of want great.
Right.
But I'm not worried about him though. Like, I don't want people to come away being like, oh God, the rebuild's over. We fucked it up. Like, it's fine.
We have to restart the rebuild again. Yeah, that's the last thing I think anybody wants to hear now.
But I you know what? I want to give the Finns a lot of credit though, because I thought the way they started the tournament to come back, and I think they really took it to the Americans in the first period, and yeah, the Americans kind of came on after that. But credit to them, because the way they started this tournament, man, like people were talking about like, are the Finns going to be in the relegation game? And like, now they're going to play for a bronze medal. So, I mean, I think that obviously a proud country like Finland, like this isn't the result they were looking for either.
Right.
And I don't think they're going to be particularly happy if they win the bronze medal, but I think they deserve a lot of credit for not just rolling over and kind of dying in this tournament. But yeah, USA Sweden should be a shit ton of fun.
Yeah, that's at 10 a.m. on Friday morning out here on the West Coast. Next year it's in Ottawa, and then 2025, I believe they just announced it's going to be in Minnesota, which is going to be awesome. That's going to
that'll be fun.
I think they haven't had it in like nearly 40 years, so that's awesome. And speaking
it seems like such a no-brainer place to put it too.
Oh, totally. I mean, you can have two rinks, but you can just use the XL Energy Center. That just means the Wild are going to go on a
really long road trip
for the holidays.
Yeah,
yeah. Speaking of Minnesota, shout out to WPHL Minnesota beating Boston 3-2 yesterday. Sophia Cunnin with a goal. Of course, Luke Cunning's wife. So kudos to that. Keep going with that.
I haven't watched any of these games yet, but I guess they've been well attended so far. So I'm curious.
And it's been fun. The pace of play has been really good. I mean, it's not, is it as fast as the NHL?
No, but
Probably not,
it's
but it's
to be
still been
expected.
competitive.
Yeah.
For
No,
sure.
I
So,
look at I hope it does well, man. Like I really hope like this is the situation that they finally kind of sticks and works out for everybody.
please. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean that'd be really nice. Like I would really like that for the women's game. I'm gonna have to try and find some time to catch a game at some point, just to check it out. I don't like women's hockey's not like my bag. Like I like international tournaments, kind of like anything else, right? Like I'll watch the international tournaments and whatnot. I don't know if I can find some time, maybe I will check out a game, see what's what.
Sorry. And Felix, thank you. PWHL, not WPHL. Yeah, I'm getting
Right.
confusing with the women's league with a television station in Philadelphia. So my apologies on that. Sorry. But let's get to good news. Tomas Hertl gets named to the All-Star team. I mean, kind of a slam dunk. I don't think there's anybody else except maybe Fabian Zetterlund that could have gotten on there.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, Zetterlund would be a nice pick. Yeah, look, it's fine. It's the All-Star game, right? I'm curious. I mean, they're going back to the draft, I guess, this year,
Yep.
which is interesting. Because obviously, NHL players are incredibly pissy. At sometimes, like,
Speaking of Leon Draisaitl, no I'm kidding.
yeah, they get kind of pissy. So I'm glad that they're kind of doing that again. It's like these guys can be uncomfortable for whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I think NHL players are kind of coddled a little bit. I kind of like the whole thing. I understand like it sucks to be the guy getting picked last, but you're still a fucking all-star, so suck it up. You're one of the best players in the NHL. Oh well, you got picked last for an all-star game. Who cares?
Congrats to Tomas Hertl for winning that. And I'm calling that right now. Speaking of Hertl, we do have a reaction of him being selected. Let's take a look at that.
Oh, we did! We made it! Woohoo! Let's go, Sharks!
Thank you, Tomas. Appreciate it. He's very excited, and as he should. When he went in 2020 for Logan Couture, absolutely got snubbed for MVP. I think he had like 5 goals in the 2 games, including the game-winning goal. And no, let's give it to David Pastrnak because Jeremy Jacobs is the real guy who runs this league. But I digress.
It's an all-star game. People take these shit way too seriously.
Yeah, I know, but 5 goals and
I know.
You get nothing. Owen
Yeah,
Nolan calls a shot, and you give the All-Star MVP to Mark Recchi in '97. Come on. All right. I'll let it go. So now I'm really going to trigger Ian. So the Toronto Maple Leafs come to town on Saturday, and it might be
That's
Martin Jones
unfortunate.
starting the game.
Great. Oh,
Sorry, bud.
Wait. So you're telling me Martin Jones is actually good now? How
Apparently.
many years, how many teams later? He's finally good now. Okay, good. I was wrong this whole time. God, is that what everyone's waiting for me? I was so wrong about Martin Jones. No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't.
I love you, bud. Hang in there.
I know. It's just like, oh, Martin Jones got shut out. AJ has to tag me. It's like, oh, is he good now? Is he finally good? I mean, finally. About time. How many teams and how many years later did it take to be good again?
That helps that you're on one of the better teams in the league. Yeah, of course.
I mean, hey, look at Ilya Samsonov was also on one of the better teams in the league, and he can't stop a beach ball.
Right, that's true. And kudos to Toronto for having that clause in Jones's contract to get through waivers to get to the Marlies at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be interesting to see I'm curious to see how they play that back-to-back game. That's probably going to be a nasty little it's not going to be a lot of fun for them, I don't think.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be fun for them here, and I don't think it's going to be fun for them there. Yeah, and then after that though, I mean, who do they play after that? Montreal and then Ottawa?
Yeah, so they have
That.
they have the literal home at home with Toronto of all teams, then go to Montreal, then back to Ottawa, and then go to Buffalo. So
yeah, it's really dumb. Like if you have any understanding of the geography of Canada. Toronto and Montreal. Ottawa's in the middle of those two teams, which is fine though because I will be at the Ottawa game.
I am so excited for you, bud, and I hope you get to have a great time with that. So Ian will be in Ottawa, and
I will be in Ottawa.
And Felix, me and Jules have been going back and forth for weeks ever since Jonathan Becker mailed Steve Dangle a jacket.
Do you know that there's never been a podcast done at the tank before? I was unaware of this.
Fuck you. Stop it. Now you're going to get me triggered. Nobody forgot.
Unaware.
Everybody forgot me and AJ and Kevin were sitting at the Arena Club bar when I'm holding up my cell phone for games. There's no, wait a minute. Let me finish here. It's not like me and AJ, and hell, we'll break out Gentry for the matter. The day after me and my girlfriend broke up, we did a podcast live from the tank, literally in the same spot that Randy and Drew used to begin the broadcast. Yeah, exactly. And then
is this what it's like when you guys do this to me?
See, this is what it is.
This is amazing. Like, now I get it. Now I understand why you guys purposely try and fucking twist cross my wires. I love this.
Okay, first off, I usually don't. That's usually not what I try to do. I'm just like, oh God, okay, I hit a nerve. Oh shit, now I gotta try to. I'll let him go, and then I'll reel him back in. But my thing is like, yeah, first ever podcast at the Shark Tank. Really? We've been doing this for nearly 10 years. You know how many times we've gone on Google?
I mean,
Google Hangouts and
of podcasts. Like I will say, like as far as like podcasts that I think of, like obviously I think like we do okay, but we're very niche. Like we're not as widely known as Steve Dangle. Obviously I think if you put me and Steve Dangle beside each other, no one knows who Ian is. Right? No one's coming to be like, oh my God, that's Ian Reed. No, that's not going to happen. In that situation. So I get it, but it just like, and it's not even just us. It's not like it was like we're like the only ones. I think it's just like,
no, I mean,
kind of slaps at a lot of people, honestly.
Right. It goes after Fin Factor. I mean, I'm sure JD is as well. I mean,
Michael, you're actually going to be in Ottawa.
Oh,
for real?
Really? That's interesting. Cool.
I need to. Okay, you hit me up on Discord if you're not bullshitting.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. But to finish getting off of my
Michael, I appreciate that you would say, "Hey, it's Ian." Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. The real question for Puckguy is Steve Dangle actually going to show up this tank? Well, last check, he needs to get a flight out here. Otherwise, everything else is hunky dory. But I will say, if you are Steve Dangle coming to the game, Dangle, and I'm going to go full Brody Brazil here. Dangle, if you are watching, it's not like I've been trying to contact you for years to shoot the shit about San Ramon, California's Austin Matthews. But let's collab. Let's make something happen here. We also have a response to what Steve Dangle thinks of our show.
Teal Town After Dark. That sounds like hockey, but in underwear.
Okay. First and foremost, yes, we do wear underwear on this show, but we wear a lot more than that. So just putting that out there, Steve.
Oh, speak for yourself. You have no idea what I'm wearing under this sweater.
All right. Thank you, Jumbo Joe Thornton. You are in the Sioux. I mean, Jumbo playing the Sioux. He's that big of a trendsetter, folks. That
I love you guys. I appreciate that you guys would be cool if you saw me.
That would be
like
awesome.
Colder Wet Heart.
Yeah. Kevin. I mean, there are times where Kevin and I would be in there, and then he's got to catch the Cal train like in 5 minutes before. It's like, okay, can we get this going? It's like, yeah, I know. It's Google Hangouts. It's the joy.
Oh, remember the Google Hangouts days? That's amazing.
Yeah. So with
that, if I stand up, we're getting taken off the air. We're getting taken off YouTube. We'll have to move to Twitch.
Oh, of course it's Twitch, right?
You can get away with that on Twitch. Well,
Yeah.
for the most part. I don't know. We're small time. We'd probably get banned there too.
Coming up, Ian starts the Teal Town OnlyFans.
It's coming, baby.
Oh boy. All right. Well, in that case, we better get out of here before we get after dark. In case you missed anything or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or wherever you get your podcasts: Apple, Google, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, Odyssey. Of course, if you're watching us on the YouTube channel right now, you can hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That'll let you know when we do go on the air following every single Sharks game. Pucknology is Sunday night at 7 p.m. Pacific. And whenever news breaks, we try to break it down for you here.
We fix it, damn it.
Yes. With alien tape and super glue.
Yes.
So, Ian, your final thoughts? It's good to be back in the saddle with you.
Yeah, it was good to be back. I'm happy to be back. When the Sharks do good, when the Sharks do okay, it's okay. It's because they didn't do good, but they did okay. So it's okay. Other than that, after I do get back, and I already mentioned this when me and Jules were on last time, but once I do get back from Ottawa, and we figure out what schedules look like, we will be starting our bi-weekly Barracuda show with me and Jules and whoever else wants to sit in a third chair. So look forward to that. I think that's the way I want to do the Barracuda coverage going forward, because we do a lot of dumb shit. I'm going to get people mad at me, but I don't care. We do a lot of dumb shit that I think takes away from this, and I think this is what we excel at. So I want to make sure that if we're doing coverage, we're doing it here on the channel.
Absolutely. He's at Ian Blogs Hockey. I'm at Puckguy14. We will be back with you Saturday, and I think I can almost confirm this now. We will be back with you Saturday at the Shark Tank. It'll be me and Jules doing the show completely live from most likely the penthouse suite at the Shark Tank. So
until the blue coats come and throw you out, they're like, "You're not Steve Dangle. Get the fuck out of here."
Maybe I should get a big head for Dangle. No. Okay. Well, we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you very much. We'll be back with you again following Sharks and Leafs. That's a 4 p.m. start because, of course, the Leafs have to, we have to go Hockey Night in Canada. It's so late. It can't start at 7 o'clock. Woo. So until then, thanks for watching, and keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a great night.
Sorry.
Good night.